receiving the secrets. The following are messages that came to me via dreams and visions and are very near and dear to me. They are my pearls, and I've kept them private, patiently awaiting this ordained moment in time. So we read earlier about the last days, or I was sharing with you about the last days, going into the new age, also about prophecy, right? So Most High speaks to us through dreams and visions. That's the most common way that we receive messages from our highest self, or from some would say Most High God, or however you want to refer to the creator of all. Um, so right here, I'm gonna try to really make this very short, but these are a few different dreams and visions that I've received that have really, like, they're the foundation pretty much of why I have to share this. Well, I'm choosing to share it. For me, it's not a choice. I don't feel like it's a choice. I have to. I don't know how I would really go on with myself if I don't. But yes, so there is Left Behind and the Day of Glory, the invisible wall, and Safety Inside. So Left Behind was a Left Behind was a vision, sorry, was a dream that I got back in 1994. And I was about 12 years old. That was the beginning of my, actually, Left Behind was the first confirmed prophetic dream that I ever had, right? And usually um, when I get certain dreams with messages, they come in like twos, sometimes threes, sometimes it's visions and dreams, whatever the case is. So I just kind of paired it up for you because these two came together. I literally had Left Behind first, and then like right after, when I went back to sleep, I had the Day of Glory um, dream. So in the Left Behind dream, um, I was I was in I was just in the world, in the earth, right? Regular day. And all of a sudden, everything started disappearing outside. Everything started disappearing out of the earth. All the buildings, all the trees, all the animals, all the color, everything just started, like it was getting sucked out like a vacuum. And then when everything was gone, all the people were just left like suspended in the air. We're just all just there. No, there was no land, no sea, nothing. And while this was happening, it's like the sky had opened up and a great light came into the earth, and there were like pillars of lights that were attached, or not attached, but like with that light. I guess like rays. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like rays, but it looked like pillars. And I was aware that they were beings, but I couldn't see anybody's face or anything like that, just a white light. And um and there was someone who spoke from the bright center light, and there was another person there who who had a book in their hand, and I couldn't see the pages of the book, but I knew that they were reading out of it, right? And so they were just calling people's names from this book. And as they called the name, the people would just kind of disappear from where they were in the crowd, appear in front, and then disappear into the light. So I was floating there for a very long time. I mean, I wasn't like rolling around, we are just kind of standing in the air. And everybody was getting called, everybody was getting called. And I remember there were a few girls that I had gotten into a fight with at the last day of school, and I had beat them up and stuff, but it wasn't my fault, I swear. and and so I had gotten into that fight, and I was planning to do something really, really bad to the girl who caused the whole thing. And some of you know that story already, so I don't want to get into, I don't want to repeat too much, but basically I was planning to do something really bad, terrible to her. Um, and 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 then I had an intervention where basically my television screen that was all blurry, I mean, all staticky, like couldn't see anything. There was definitely no picture going on at all. It got a clear picture, and there was someone on the screen, and um, they were, they were talking, saying that, there's someone out there who's planning to do something very bad, and God sees your heart. And it was this whole, this pastor was on the TV, and he was talking, and he was saying like exactly what I was, planning to do. And speaking, I feel like he was speaking directly to me. So, then he said, say this prayer with me, God will help. That you've heard these type of things before, right? So, um, I just found myself like my cheeks were wet, my face was wet. I had been crying while this man was talking, and I wasn't even aware that I was crying, And so I felt moved within myself, and I said the prayer. I called the phone. They gave a number. I called the number. I said, "Yep, that's me. I was planning to do such and such," and then they said, "Well, you should find a church and so on to go to." And I said, "Okay, I will." So I had told my mom about that experience, and she contacted someone who knew someone that was going to church at that time. So I'm saying all of this just to tell you guys, like when I went to sleep and I had that dream about everybody getting called, that when they started calling these girls, I was like, how are they getting called before me? You know, how are these girls' names getting called? Like they're bad, they're terrible. You know what I mean? And so anyhow, everybody got called, and I was the last person there, just floating. And I was like, I went up, closer, to the light, and I said, "Hey, there must be a mistake. You know, I know you called some people, and they're not good people, and I know I'm a better person than they are. And you called them, and you didn't call my name. So can you check again, because you made it? There's a mistake." And the out of the light, the voice that spoke out of the light said to me, "There has been no mistake. You need to forgive." And when that was said to me, I knew immediately that it was true. Like I knew exactly what they were talking about. And and I was just like, shoot, you're right. I'm not as good as I thought I was, because I knew I could see everything. I could feel everything within myself. And at that light just went and went out of wherever we were, because now it wasn't earth, it was just nothing. And the light just went, disappeared with all the other lights. And I was just in darkness. And I was in darkness for a very long time until I woke up, and it was scary. It was the most, I actually have never had another dream in my entire life that has been as scary as that dream was. So I didn't want to go back to sleep, right? I didn't want to go back to sleep. I just stayed awake, and I was repenting, and I was like, how do I forgive? Like I didn't want to close my eyes, because I was so afraid that that would happen, or I would go back to that darkness. But I ended up falling asleep. And then when I fell asleep, I went into another dream. And that's the dream I call the Day of Glory. A lot of you, I think, on here have heard about that dream. But in that dream, basically, it was all about the end days. I saw people fighting. I saw, first of all, like fire devouring, just kind of taking people who were my family, and friend, and taking them in. And it was just myself and this baby, a little baby boy, and I was directed by an angel who looked like in a police outfit, but he was floating in the air, so I knew he wasn't a regular police officer. But at that age 12, I would have thought a police officer could help me if I was lost, right? So he led me into this place for safety, and I went into that place, and from looking out the back, I could have seen all these people who were fighting. I mean, every sort of mixture and race and different group and everything, they're all fighting. And there was no electricity, there was no heat, there was no food. And the only thing that I found within that place to eat, like the people outside also had no food, but in there, I found some cassava, grated cassava, and powdered milk. And I found that, and I was able to feed myself and the baby. So we're surviving. And then I decided to go to the front of the building. And when I went to the front of the building, I looked out, I saw all of these, like I saw all the sky coming together, everything coming together, lights, and it was like a tornado of the clouds, and the entire sky was being pulled together, and all these colors I had never seen, and it was twirling. and stuff and coming down. And so at the same time, I heard a noise at the back of me, and I went to see what that was. And I saw some of the people who had gotten devoured by the fire who were with me earlier. And I said, what happened? I thought you guys got, taken in by the fire. And they said, one of the people were my mom in the dream. And she said, yes, the fire took them, but it purified them. Right. And so they were able to come out of the fire. And that's how, I guess, probably the same police officer, I don't know who, but they found me. They came crawling up into the window and they were with me. So I gave her the baby and I went back to look at the front of the building to see what was happening with the sky. And as I went to look out and I was looking at all these colors, like my heart, it was like there was a magnet in whatever was happening in the tornado, in the tornado cloud. There was like a magnet from something in there and my heart, and it was just pulling me out of the building, and it pulled me up into the sky, into it, and I was just being like drawn from my heart, being pulled up. And then I ended up going inside. I was in the very center of it, and then going up, 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 up. And as soon as I got up to see, and it was the same light that had come to me in the first dream that told me I had to forgive. It was the same light. And I know because the light has a feeling, I'm saying light too, but I knew it was God, whoever I was calling God at that time. And it was the same feeling of just, I can't even explain to you, just everything, everything, And so when I was opening up, it was so bright, but I was wanting to see through this light, and I, opened up my eyes. And when I opened my eyes wider to see, I ended up opening up my eyes in real life. And I was like, oh, I'm in my room. And I tried to close my eyes. I tried to go back into the dream. The first dream, I didn't want to close my eyes. Now this one, I'm trying to close my eyes. I'm trying to get back into my sleep. And I couldn't get back into the dream. I tried to imagine everything I saw again. No matter what I tried, I couldn't get back into it. So when I woke up from that, I got a call, and the call was from the woman who my mom's, who they had contacted, who goes to church. And she contacted me because I said I wanted to go to church, right, from whatever had happened to me before. And she told me that her daughter had received a word from God for me, and that word from God was that I was to be a fisher of men, and that I would be the first saved out of my family, and many people would be saved through my calling and all of this type of stuff. And so I said, okay, well, I just had like a really scary dream and another dream. And she was like, what are the dreams? So I told her what the dreams were. And she explained to me that I had a gift of prophecy, and that those dreams were actually prophetic dreams of the future, and that the Bible had written about things like that. And at this time, I didn't read the Bible, right? I had only had that experience of the man on TV, and I was looking for people to, to go to church with or whatever. And so what had happened is that she told me that her daughter, when her daughter had gotten saved, right, or filled with the Spirit, that she had seen the same thing I saw, and she drew it, like she painted it. So this lady, her name is Anita, she's passed away now, she transitioned. She asked me if I could draw what I saw, or painted what I saw in my dream, and then that way, we could compare it to see if it's the same thing. So I said, okay. So I took my paints, went outside, did my little painting, and then she came later on that day, and what her daughter had drawn and what I had drawn were the exact same thing. So I, from that time, really started believing, well, you know what, I don't think that's a coincidence, that how is it possible that we could see the same thing and draw the same thing, so maybe it is God. And then that was in the summertime. So that summer, I read the entire Bible. 2 months, I read the entire Bible, front to back. And I was 12 years old. I went to school, so went into grade 8. And I had now gotten like proper art material, because you're in art class. I did that whole picture. I wanted to do a proper picture of it, using pastels and stuff. So I recreated that painting. I only had it on a little white piece of paper. So I redid it with pastels, and I ended up, it got recognized, and I was up for the art award. And so I placed that, so they placed that art of mine in the foyer, and it was framed and everything. But I noticed that they had it upside down. So I came to the teacher and I said, you guys, you have my painting, or my artwork upside down in the foyer. And he didn't really know what I was talking about, so I brought it in for him and I showed him, like, yeah, and you named it something different. So they named my piece Mother and Child, and I had named it The Day of Glory, literally written in the sky in black, The Day of Glory. And no one had noticed that I had written that in the sky in black. So anyways, he didn't understand, because when I put it, like, the right way, it looked like, for me anyways, it looked like, the sky being pulled in and this tornado thing. For him, when they had it upside down, it looked like this, and then going outwards. And my lines just so happened to make it look like a woman veiled, like a woman with a veil and like a dress on, carrying a child. It actually really did look like that. But I didn't mean for it to look like that, right? So they named it Mother and Child, and I said, well, that's not what it is. And he said, well, what's this Day of Glory? And so I started telling them about my vision, right? The dream. And after I told them, obviously all the children were scared, but I wasn't even thinking of it like that, right? They're all afraid. And then he was like, well, if that's what it is, then they can't put it up there. And I had a choice to either put it upside down as the mother and child, or leave it as the Day of Glory and not get the art award, not have it, out there. And I knew right then and then that this incident would be like, it was foreshadowing, my life, pretty much, that I would have to constantly be making a choice to speak the things that Most High has shown me, or, don't speak it and be accepted. You know what I mean? And be accepted, rewarded, glorified. You understand it? I knew at that moment that if I had to be who I was called to be, and so on, that it would mean, living a life of maybe not being in the popular crowd. So I would have gotten three. I would have got art, debate, and kindness, but I ended up just getting the art, the debate award and the kindness award that year, which is okay. It's not too bad, you know.